Welcome to your daily dose of hope. I'm Phyllis Nichols, and I'm glad you're here. Lately, I've been doing some reading about limiting beliefs. Now, this isn't a new concept for me. It's probably not new for you either. We've heard people talking about them before, but I've never really tried to chase them down, I guess. A lot of times when people talk about limiting beliefs, they can use examples, I think, that feel pretty extreme, like I'm a terrible person, or nobody loves me, or nobody's ever going to love me. Now, I think most of us, hopefully, can recognize that those statements aren't true. But limiting beliefs aren't always that obvious, right? Sometimes they're sneaky and they show up as assumptions that we've carried around for a long time. A lot of our limiting beliefs, according to the author of the book, we learn by the time we're age 7 or 8. They're just things that we learn very early in our life, and we just believe them to be fact, believe them to be true. So the author uses an example to demonstrate this of the concept of money is scarce. And I think it's a powerful one because I think a lot of us can relate to that. Like somewhere along the way, we kind of absorbed this message about money being hard to make or hard to get, or success and opportunity or for other people, or it's really hard. You have to struggle, to make it. Those are kinds of things that feel for many of us really factual and true. Like they feel like facts because we've heard them a lot and we've just ingrained them into what we believe. But maybe they're not really true. Maybe it's just familiar. Familiarity has a funny way of feeling like it's the truth because we've just been thinking it for so long. Now, the part of the book that caught my attention the most was really about what to do when those kinds of thought patterns show up. And the author has a number of things that you can do. I will link to the book in the notes, but he has I don't know, 7 or 8 different strategies that you can do when these kinds of things happen. But the one I like the best and the one I think is made the most sense for me is just saying, you know what, that's not true. When one of these weird beliefs shows up, just to kind of counter it and say, that's not true. Again, we believe money is scarce. That's not true. There's tons of money in the world and lots of people have access to it. So anyway, I'm not trying to give a good example, but I loved the simplicity of just stopping that thought right in that moment. You don't have to solve it. You don't have to even argue with yourself. You can just be like, that's not true, and move on. Stop the pattern. Like the thought loses some of its power right there just because you're no longer treating it as a fact. You stop automatically accepting it. And you can remember that just because your brain thinks something, it doesn't mean it is true. Our brains generate thousands of thoughts every day, and lots of them are useful. Some of them are insightful. Some of them are helpful, obviously. And a lot of them are just old stories being played on repeat. Stories that we inherited, stories that we learned so long ago we don't even remember how we came to learn it, right? Just things we never stop to question ever. And so I think hope can begin when we start questioning some of those things and recognizing that not every thought deserves to have a vote. The next time your brain is telling you something like you're never going to figure this out or you're never going to get ahead or whatever, I hope that you'll pause for a moment and ask yourself, is that really true? Or just simply say, that's not true. Sometimes a small shift in thinking can create the biggest opening for hope and a new path forward. So remember, your thoughts are powerful, but you're even more powerful because you get to decide if they're actually right and they're actually serving you. Thanks for being here. And if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend. This podcast is part of the Sound Advice FM network. Sound Advice FM, women's voices amplified.